next topic wanted to continue. So last time when we are in the previous classes, soft completion of the eating disorders, we already started the aging and the psychological disorders, that is 13th unit. Okay. In the 13th unit, also some of the topics we have discussed here, that is delirium. Got it? Yeah, next one, the same unit of 13. Okay, we are discussing about the elderly people and their various disorders related to the aging. That is delirium, already we discussed it. Then amnesia, dementia, and the rest of the other disorders like depression and insomnia. These are things we today want to.
Sir, unit number, sir. Kindly tell me unit number.
Now it is 12th and 13th. 12th already completed. Now the 13th unit. Okay. Now, as I mentioned in previous classes, it is delirium. Delirium is the sudden distortion of their thought process. That means, that is, as I mentioned, the three important issues in delirium. That is behavior, cognition, and the perception. These three memory issues, like these three important aspects in functioning of any individual. So these three negatively impact on their functionings. So delirium, as I mentioned, delirium is a forgetfulness, and because of their cognition impairment and the impairment of their functioning levels, perceptions. Okay, their behavior automatically, the behavior will be somehow it is different type of behavior. Okay, now another disorders related to the elderly people. So here in this amnestic disorder, or you can say amnesia. Second one is the amnesia. So amnesia is some memory functioning. Here the memory functioning, loss of memory function, or you can say decline in memory function. So there will be no relation of this both. That means delirium and amnesia. Delirium, there are three facts, that is perception, cognition, and behavior. These are the three important aspects. So the functioning of these three, that is the reason their behavior will be somehow different. Whereas in amnesia, the ability to recall the previous issues, means recalling of the previous, whatever that happened in the previous life, they'll count in a portion to recall those things. So the memory will be lost only related to the previous. That means already learned material or learned aspects, the previous experiences. So, but they'll recall the present experiences, the present aspects, the present issues. Okay, so then they will be in a position to remember, or you can say recall the present aspects. Okay, so in some cases they remember only the new information. Okay, but that is also only for the short term period, you can say. In amnesia, the problem is with the memory. The memory also loss of memory, what are the things that has happened, the previous memory loss. It means the people affected with this amnesia, they may not be in a position to recall the previous experiences, prevent learned aspects, but they'll recall the present experiences, present incidents, whatever the memory in the short term, only they will be in a position to memorize. They'll recall, they'll remember the recent happening things. Okay, so in this amnesia, there are some types of amnesia. So the one is that it is localized amnesia. Localized amnesia means, so they'll recall only some events. Okay, the rest of the things they can't remember. As I mentioned, in amnesia, previous things, whatever the previous things are experiences, previous happened events, loss of memory, the previous learned aspects. They will recall only the present events. That too, they'll have only short-term memory, or you can say short, they'll get the information, they'll remember the new information only for a short-term period of time. Okay, so that is the main definition of the amnesia. But in amnesia, there are some other types of amnesia. That is, one is localized amnesia, means inability to recall events that occurred in a specific period of time. For a specific period of time, they won't, that means, for example, for 3 days, or for 1 week, or for 1 month. What are the things for this particular period? They may not be a person to remember. That is localized amnesia. Second is selective amnesia. Selective amnesia means inability to recall only certain events related to the particular period. First one is a localized amnesia. Localized amnesia means inability to recall events that occurred in a specific period of time. Number two amnesia is, second type of amnesia is selective amnesia. This is also for a period of the short term, but a particular events, it means selective events, selective that is per time period, and the selective events, that is the second type of amnesia. This is called the selective amnesia. Third is a generalized amnesia. It is ability to recall any event.
Sir, can you please give an example for selective amnesia, sir?
Selective amnesia. Okay. So, as I mentioned, amnesia is the forgetting of the previous events. Got it? Forgetting
yes,
previous events, whatever happened in their life, experience in their life, previous experiences. But in the first type, localized amnesia means they'll forget, or they can't be in a position to recall for a particular period of time. That means last 2 months things, or last 2 or 3 months events, they may not be in a position to remember, recall. That is number one. Selective amnesia means, so within the 2 or 3 months time, number one. Number two is the selective events only. Whatever the events, only selective events. Rest of the events they'll remember. Got it? That is the selective amnesia. The selective events only they can't remember, they can't recall. They may not be in a position to recall the selective events. What are the events? All, not all the events. Actually, amnesia is the recalling the previous events. But here in this case of selective amnesia, only the selective events will forget. Third one is the generalized amnesia, means inability to recall any event of person's last life, that means past life. That is a generalized amnesia. Continuous amnesia means, fourth one is a continuous amnesia. Inability to recall events that occur after specific point of time and extended to the present time also. There is a difference between the selective amnesia and the continuous amnesia. Selective amnesia means only for the particular period, the events. Okay, the events they can't remember. But whereas the continuous amnesia, inability to recall events that occurred after some specific period of time, even till the date, even the present time also. Okay. And in the fifth one, systemized amnesia. Here, systemized amnesia is the loss of memories of some categories of information. Okay, that means that category may be a particular place, a particular person. That is only a systemized amnesia. These are the various types of amnesia. So this is the one important disorder in the older people. One is delirium, second is the amnesia, and third is the dementia. Third disorder in this old people is dementia. So dementia is also, there are two types. One is Alzheimer's dementia, another is the vascular dementia. Okay, so first one is the Alzheimer's dementia. Okay, so here in this Alzheimer's dementia, the main symptom of dementia is that slowly loss of their memory, gradual loss of the memory is the dementia. Okay, whereas in delirium, sudden loss of cognition and their functionings, behaviors, cognition, perception, and the behavior. That is a sudden loss of these three aspects in dementia confined, in delirium confined, or in delirium confined. Whereas in dementia, the symptoms of dementia occurs gradually. The loss of memory means abstract thinking, you can say other sort of things, slowly, gradually, as the age is advancing. So they lost their memory in stepwise. That is the dementia characteristic of older age people. Okay. In some cases, dementia, in dementia cases, they will forget their daily routines also, like feeding, cleaning, dressing, and toilet functions. Okay, some basing on these issues, some behavioral and personality changes also occurs in these old people. Okay, so here in this first one, like vascular dementia. In vascular dementia, the main cause is reduction of the blood flow, or you can say in the brain structure, or you can say brain function, maybe some deteriorations in the brain functions, or you can say loss of proper loss of flow, loss of proper chemical that is flow, or you can say chemical imbalances may be there in their brains. So that is the reason blood flow may be a normal way due to the slow of their, or you can say reduced blood flow. So this type of dementia is possible in the older people. Okay. Another that means function. Other characteristics of this dementia is the repeating their speech, or you can say disoriented speech. You can say. Okay. Then speech orientation may not be there in these people who are affected with the dementia. Then forgetfulness is common in these people. Then they'll have the problem with their abstract thinking. As we know that there are two types of thinking, or there are two types of things, that is concrete things and abstract things. They'll have problems with the abstract thinking, means imaginary power. Abstract thinking means imaginary things. Okay, so they may not be in a position to maintain their schedules. Okay, then they will forget some cases in the advanced case of dementia. So in the dementia, in advanced state of dementia, the people who are affected with this dementia, so they will forget their names of family members also, and even everyday life activities, or you can say daily life activities also. Some cases they will forget. Okay, these are all the various problems in the people who are affected with this dementia. So one is the amnesia. First one is the delirium. Second is amnesia. Third is the dementia. Okay. Then another disorder, another problem in this elderly people is depression in elderly, or you can say depression in the old people. So in the old people, the problem is some problem related to their financial aspects, some issues related to their occupational things, some adjustmental issues, some family issues. Due to these issues, they are very high risk of depression. In some cases, they will have sleeplessness, or you can say suicidal tendency also you'll observe in this elderly people in some cases. Okay, because of their issues, as I mentioned, maybe depression, maybe other adjustmental issues, family issues, financial problems, occupational problems. So they'll have some sort of adjustmental issues. Due to that, they may not be in a position to focus on their personal issues. Okay, so these symptoms of depression changes their mood. Okay, so like some type of they won't have cheerfulness. They don't focus on their personal needs. They may not be in a position to focus on their daily life activities. Has some sort of health issues also can observe in this particular age. That is the reason these people faces the depression, or you can say depressive thoughts. Okay. Then insomnia, also another problem in this elderly people. Insomnia means sleep disorders in elderly people. Okay, so here sleeplessness also in some cases that there are some people, they will face the problem while they go to the bed. Okay, means when they are starting phase, these people, when they want to go for sleep, so it will take minimum of 1 hour to 1.5 hours, even after go to the bed, it will take 1 to 2 hours time.
So all the amnesias, how they recover, what type of psychological treatments they need.
So some type of insomnia is the difficulty initiating the sleep. Okay, that is sleep onset insomnia. This is known as the sleep onset insomnia, difficulty initiating sleep. Second one is the sleep maintenance insomnia. First one is the sleep onset insomnia. Sleep onset insomnia means difficulty in initiating sleep. The starting when they want to sleep will take minimum of 1 to 2 hours time to get sleep. Second subtype of insomnia is sleep maintenance insomnia. That is difficulty maintaining sleep throughout the night. So in some cases, they will get sleep only for the limited period, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and again they will wake and they won't get sleep. That is difficulty in maintaining the sleep throughout the night. That is the second type of insomnia. Third is the early morning insomnia, means early morning awaking with difficulty returning to sleep. Once they'll get, when they awake in the early hours, it's very difficult to get sleep again. That is the third type of insomnia. And some psychophysiological insomnia means, so they'll condition sleep difficulty resulting from moderate.
So
these are the different types of insomnia. Initial not getting sleep is one type, that is difficulty in initiating sleep. Second one is the difficulty maintaining sleep throughout the night. Third is the early morning awakening with difficulty. That means difficulty maintaining sleep throughout the night, the second one. Then early morning, they'll get sleep, but once they awake in the early hours, again, it's not so easy to get sleep. That is another type of insomnia. In some cases, so if they change the place, that means you can say it's a moderate cognition. Means if there is any change in the environment, if there is any change in their routines, so they won't get sleep. That is the fourth type of insomnia in the elderly people. Okay. Then what is the treatment? How the treatment? What is the role of psychologists if we observe these type of issues in the elderly people? Okay. One is delirium. Second is that is amnesia. Third is dementia. Fourth is depression in elders. Fifth is the
insomnia,
or you can say sleep disorders in elderly people. So the role of psychologist is crucial in all these issues. For example, if you take this forgetfulness like dementia or delirium, and amnesia. Okay, so here the role of caregivers is main here. For example, these people are elderly people. When they are in the middle age, when they are in the age of productivity, when they are in the occupational things, their earning capacity is so high. These people, these elderly people, they are already completed their responsibilities. Okay, so depending on these elderly people, total families is grown, survived for some time, for some years. Okay, so already they express that means responsibilities. These things always that the rest of the family members, I can say caregivers, they need to keep in mind. Number one. Number two, in some cases, especially in case of dementia, if we neglect these people, the neglect means whether the other members are neglected or not, but they feel some sort of negligence from the family members. That is the reason these elderly people, in some cases, they will detach from the family members. Emotionally, they'll detach from the family members. There is a chance of detachment from the family members. Maybe their preoccupied mentality, maybe that negative thoughts from the elderly people. Actually, the other family members, maybe they have their own responsibilities. The love and affection is maintaining in the family, but due to their age factor, due to their other issues, they think some type of negligence from the other family members, so that they'll detach from the actual functionings of the family. This issue continuously for long period. This issue leads some emotional detachment from the other members in the family. That is one of the reasons of this forgetfulness. Once they think I am not that much of important person in the family, my services are not no need of they are not engaged in my services. In some cases, the elderly people will think that the other family members, they are not utilizing my services. They are not identifying my services. Then what happens? So they detach from the other family members. Detachment means the normal functions will be deteriorated. They won't show much interest on the other functions of the family. So automatically they detach from the family. So,
sir, can you ask somebody is on unmute, sir? Can you ask that person to be on mute?
Please, all
There's
of
a lot of disturbance.
Yourself. Okay, so these are all the various reasons of this insomnia, or you can say some are the organic, means some brain functionings may be affected. That is the reason their forgetfulness. But especially in some cases like dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. So this type of, initially the problem may be very minimized issue, but due to their problem, if we neglect the people, if you won't identify the functionings of the person, if you won't show that much of love and affection, that means they feel, these elderly people, they feel like neglected from the other members. And one more thing is that, as I mentioned, in Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, need of identity and respect is also one of the major needs in the psychological aspects. If these elderly people, if they feel that their work, whatever they work for the family members, their hard work, their achievements, the other members in the family, if they feel, the elderly people, if they feel they are not getting that much of identity and respect from the family members, so this need of identity and respect is not fulfilled in these elderly people, what happens? They feel that some sort of depression. Okay, though they achieved a lot of things from their family and other areas, but this identity and respect is not fulfilled. This type of need is not fulfilled. This is one of the important psychological need, as Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs mentioned. So if these needs are not fulfilled, so they'll feel some kind of depression. If it is a depression, means sleeplessness is also one of the major symptoms in the depression. Depression, then insomnia, you can say sleeplessness, sleep disorders. In depression, one of the major symptoms of depression is the sleeplessness. These both are interconnected, sleeplessness and depression. Okay, if these sleeplessness, or you can say insomnia, and other areas like not taking proper food, not sleep for a particular time of 6 or 7 hours, what are the 8 hours or 9 hours, whatever it may be. So what happens? Their normal functionings will be deteriorated. Their normal function will be adversely impacted. The adversely impact of sleeplessness and not taking proper food means the functionings, normal functionings. Normal functioning means cognitive functioning, like memory. So these are all badly affected by not sleeping properly, not taking proper food. See, these are all one way or other way interlinked with one to another disorder. That is the reason these are all the disorders related to the elderly people. So as a psychologist, if we find any reason, as I mentioned, there are so many other reasons, it's better to address that reason first. In any psychological issue, when you want to solve that particular issue, better to understand the reason, or you can say factor of the particular cause of the reason, the cause of that issue. If you find any reason from the family members, better to address that issue. If we find any problem with the psychological needs is not fulfilled, better to address that issue. If there is any problem with any other psychological or maybe health issues, better to address the health issue. Then on it is easy to solve the problem related to the other areas. So that is the role of the psychologist, to find out the reason of what are the elderly disorders, what are the disorders related to the elderly, like delirium, dementia, amnesia, and depression, sleeplessness. So that if you address the actual, if you solve the actual reason, if you find out the actual reason, so that you can easily solve the disorders, or you can say at least, as I mentioned, there are 3 important facts we need to find out, we need to understand. One is the reducing the problem, number 1. Number two is that maintaining the state data. Third is the not in stop to, or you can say better to stop, not to go to the next level. But if, for example, Alzheimer's dementia, or you can say dementia. So if the age is around 60 or 65 years, if we address the other reasons of this particular dementia, there's a chance of maintaining this dementia, or you can say reducing this dementia. And the third one is that we can also control this dementia, not to go to the next level. For example, if it is initial stage, if you find out the reason, and if you solve that particular reason, what happens? You can stop this dementia. There are various levels of dementia. If we are not in a position to stop this in this particular level, there is a chance of go to the severity. The severity may be somehow different, maybe more in some cases. So that is the reason, if we find any issue related to this particular disorder or any other disorder of elderly people, better to dissolve it, and we will be in a position to stop in this particular area, in this level. Otherwise, the severity will be increased. Okay, that is the response to the psychologist to find out the reason and to address the issues of this elderly disorders. Okay, in some cases, the reasons may be, the cause may be some cause related to the medical issues. So in that case, better to take the advice from the medical professionals. Okay, so that there is any medical issues due to the medical reasons. If these disorders related to the elderly people, if you find any medical reasons, better to take the help of the medical professionals so that they will address other issues. Okay, so with this, we will end this part, this 13th unit, and then we will move to the next one, that is 14th, developmental disorders in adolescent and childhood stages. So here in this developmental disorders, why we call it as a developmental disorders first? Okay, in each and every development stages, we have stages of development, as I mentioned in the previous class. Developmental stages, or you can say lifespan development. Okay, in developmental stages, each and every development have some milestones. The individual, maybe any stage, they are supposed to achieve their developmental milestones. Developmental milestones means maybe some developmental milestones, or you can say developmental domains like physical development, psychological development, cognitive development, motor development, speech development. Okay, these are all the developmental areas, developmental milestones in each and every developmental stage the individual is supposed to achieve. Same way, in childhood and adolescent also, some developmental milestones the individual, the person, or the person, children or the adolescents are supposed to achieve. So especially in childhood and adolescent stages, childhood means again there are two different sub stages of childhood. One is early childhood stage, second is the later childhood stage. Okay, generally in these stages we find some sort of hyperactivity. Okay, or you can say not focusing on a particular activity. Okay, this is also known as the attention deficiency and hyperactivity disorder. This is known as the ADHD. One important disorder in the childhood as well as adolescent is ADHD. ADHD means, the full form of ADHD means attention deficiency. Hyperactive disorder. Attention deficiency and hyperactive disorder. Nowadays, these type of ADHD issues are more in the present scenario, or you can say present situations. Okay, so as I mentioned, in ADHD there are main two. One is the attention deficiency, not focusing, not paying their attention on an activity, or you can say inattention. Third is the hyperactivity. Inattention and hyperactivity. Inattention means not paying proper attention on this particular activity. Okay, that is ADHD. Attention deficiency, hyperactivity disorder. The reason of attention deficiency is that hyperactivity, or you can say impulsivity. Whatever they wanted to do, they wanted to do it. Okay, that is the reason these children are some type of adolescent children due to their impulsivity and their inattention, their hyperactiveness. Okay, so here this ADHD, or you can say attention deficiency and hyperactivity disorder, the reason may be some sort of reason related to the mental retardedness, and some reason may be the family environment, and maternal nutrition, and sort of infection, and substance abuse also one of the reasons of this ADHD. I repeat, the important reasons, or you can say causes of ADHD is that one is the mental retardation, or you can say some sort of biological influences, environmental factors, means family environment, and the school or educational organization environment of the school, environment of the education organization. Then if there is any issues related to their pregnancy, means heredity factors, environmental factors, heredity factors, and some reasons related to their natal, prenatal, and postnatal causes. These are all various reasons of the ADHD. You are talking about the disorders related to the childhood and the adolescents. There are so many other development disorders like autism, CP, learning disorders, mental retardation. Now we are discussing about the ADHD, attention deficiency, hyperactive disorder.
Sir, a lot of noise, sir, unable to hear properly. Somebody is again on unmute.
But here all are muted as the screen is showing all are muted.
No, sir. Divakar, Srivalli, there are so many who are unmute and a lot of disturbance.
No, I just unmuted because I wanted to. I'm unable to hear.
Okay, okay. Okay,
Whoever
okay.
is
You
on
are the
unmute,
one,
please
ma'am.
mute.
Okay, okay. Fine. Sri Sailam.
Sir, whosoever is unmute, please mute yourself, sir. It is quite disturbing for us.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll discuss the symptoms of ADHD. There are, as I mentioned, there are three important symptoms of ADHD. The name itself is the attention deficiency and the hyperactivity. First one is attention deficiency. The symptoms of ADHD, first one is the inattention or you can say attention deficiency, not focusing on a particular work or any event. Okay. So here in attention, there are some symptoms. One is difficulty to maintain the attention. Okay. Difficulty sustaining to any attention or any activity. That is the one important symptom of ADHD, that is inattention. Okay. And does not follow the instructions. Okay, these people, or you can say these children, those are having this type of ADHD issue. They won't follow the instructions given by the other people, or you can say elders. And third symptom is that not organized. They can't organize tasks, or you can say difficulty in organizing the activities or any task. Okay. And again, other symptom is that they dislike tasks. They avoid having some sort of task. Okay, they distracted easily distracts, and forgetfulness of daily life activities. Why forgetfulness means when there is an inattention, automatically forgetfulness. If there is in concentration, attentively. If the person is attentively doing any activity, it's easily to memorize that activity. Not only the children, any. If they focus on a particular activity, if they pay attention on that particular activity, automatically it is easily they can memorize it. So these children of ADHD, their focus is very less and their attentiveness is very less. Attentiveness is more, attention is more. That is the reason memory is not possible, means forgetfulness. So in case of these cases, in these cases of ADHD, difficulty to sustain the attention, okay, and carelessness, mistakes, okay, not focusing on any activity, not organizing a proper activity, then distraction, easy distraction, and forgetfulness in the daily activities. These are all symptoms related to the inattention. Second is the hyperactivity. As I mentioned, the ADHD means attention deficiency. Second part is the attention deficiency and hyperactivity. ADHD, attention deficiency hyperactive disorder. Hyperactivity means not sit at one place. Okay, constantly moving around. Then runs away from the event, runs away from the particular task. Okay, does not remain seated when expected to sit. Okay, then not maintaining proper sitting position, constantly moving around, talking excessively without meaning. These are all hyperactive symptoms, symptoms of inattention, now the symptoms of hyperactivity. Third is the impulsivity. Impulsivity means they'll have difficulty waiting for his or her turn, interrupts or disrupts others. Whatever they wanted to do, they will do on the spot. Okay, so these are all the symptoms of ADHD: inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Got it? Then another disorder in this childhood as well as the adolescent people is that conduct disorders. Okay, conduct disorders means some symptoms of conduct disorders means aggressive behavior. These children behaves like
developmental disorders గురించి చెప్తున్నాడు పాప. ADHD.
Okay. Aggressive behavior means fighting, bullying, like showing cruelty on animals and forcing another persons to do some sort of other activities like abnormal activities. This is one symptom of conduct disorder that is known as the aggressive behavior. One symptom of conduct disorder is the aggressive behavior. Second is the destructive behavior. Means intentional, wantedly, they distort the other people. Destructions of property. Okay, like fire setting, then harming the other person's property. These are all the destructive behavior. First one is the symptom of conduct disorder, is the aggressive behavior. Second is the destructive behavior. Third one is the deceitful behavior, means some sort of lying behavior, breaking in the cars, okay, stealing the things. These are all the symptoms related to deception. Okay, decency may not be there in these people. Then the fourth one is the violation of rules. Okay, so going against the rules of the society, norms of society. Okay, harming others, running away from the home, running away from the place, running away from the sports, running away from the institutions. So these symptoms of conduct disorders, one is aggressive behavior. These are all the symptoms of conduct disorders. That means their conduct, their behavior is not normal, misconducting the things. Okay. So one is the aggressive behavior, second is the destructive behavior, third is the deceitful behavior, fourth is the violation of rules. Okay. Then, as I mentioned, in this development disorders of the childhood as well as the adolescent people, first one is the ADHD, attention deficiency and hyperactive disorder. In the attention deficiency means impulsivity, inattention and hyperactivity symptoms. The conduct disorders means aggressive behavior, destructive behavior, deceitful behavior, and violation of rules. Okay. Then next one is the communication disorders. Communication disorders. Okay. So in communication disorders, there are some disorders related to the speech communication. Okay. So here the problem with the expressive language. Okay. Expressive language issue. Then mixed, or you can say some sort of mixed receptive, or you can say express language. Phonological disorders involve difficulties in articulating the sounds of speech, stuttering, stammering, cluttering. These are all the disorders related to the communication. These are the problems related to the communication. These disorders are known as the communication disorders. Disorders related to expression of language, problem with the repeated language, repeated usage of some words and some phrases, and problem with the articulating of the sounds of speech, and some type of stuttering, cluttering, and stammering. These are all the disorders are problems related to the communication. It is the reason we call it as a communication disorders. Okay. Then, so we will discuss what are the reasons of this particular ADHD conduct disorder. As I mentioned, ADHD is the environmental reasons, the reasons related to the mental retardedness, the reasons related to the heredity, the reasons related to the maternal nutrition. So,
కాలేజ్ నిన్న కాలేజ్ పోయినావు కదా మరి
సార్ హరి గారు కొంచెం మ్యూట్ పెట్టండి మీరు.
So here, these are all the various reasons of conduct disorders, as well as ADHD. Whereas the reasons of this communication disorders, or you can say disorders of language, disorders of issues of the, as I mentioned, expressive language, stuttering, stammering, and cluttering. Okay, these reasons, some sort of developmental issues also there in this communication disorders, means delay in development, delay in speech, delay in other areas of their normal development. Okay, those are the some reasons of this communication disorder. In some issues, emotional issues also plays a vital role in the communication disorder. Emotional issues, emotional disturbances. Okay, so if we find any emotional issues, those issues, if you address, if you solve that emotional imbalancing of the children, emotional disturbance of the adolescent, if you find any reasons of these emotions, so that if their emotions are addressed, if their emotions are resolved, for example, due to their anger and due to the fear of the children, they won't communicate properly. They won't express in a proper way. Their language, expressive language, may be some sort of disturbances, some sort of deterioration, some sort of negative impact on their expressive language. And in case of cluttering, stuttering, and stammering also, we can easily find some sort of emotional issues, means fear, because of their fear, because of the children's anxiety, due to their anger, emotional imbalancing. The children or the other people, they may not be in a position to express in a proper way. Though they know, if you observe in some cases, like in a classroom, because of due to their fear, though they know some children, though they know the answer of the question, but because of their emotional disturbance, because of their emotional imbalance, because of their fear, these children can't give proper answers. They may not be able to give proper answers, though they will give the answer, but the answers may not be in a proper way. So they're stuttering, cluttering, stammering. These are all the various issues of communication related to some type of emotional aspects. Okay, as a psychologist, it's better to, if we find any type of emotional issues, better to resolve it so that their communication disorders may be addressed. Okay, then next one is learning disabilities, or you can say learning disabilities, or you can say disorders related to the learning, or problems related to the learning in this particular stage of childhood and adolescence. Okay, generally some common types of learning disabilities means one is the dyslexia. Dyslexia means difficulty in reading, problem of reading, writing, and spelling and speaking. That is dyslexia, one common disability in this childhood as well as the adolescent. We observe this is dyslexia, difficulty in reading, writing, spelling, and speaking. Second one is dyscalculia, means difficulty with mathematics, or you can say numbers, problems doing mathematical problems, understanding the time using money, like money concept, time concept, or number concepts, problems of doing mathematical issue, mathematical problem. That is one common type of learning disabilities in these stages of childhood as well as the adolescent. Then third one is the dysgraphia. Dysgraphia means difficulty with writing. Okay, problem with handwriting, spelling, organizing the ideas. That is the another type of learning disability in these stages. Okay, and another one is dyspraxia. That means difficulty with fine motor skills, problem with hand-eye coordination, balance, maintaining the coordination between the hand and eye, manual dexterity. Okay, then dysphagia, difficulty with language, problem of understanding spoken language, poor reading comprehension. Then another one is auditory processing disorder, difficulty hearing differences between sounds, problem with the reading comprehension language. Then visual processing disorder, difficulty interpreting visual information. Okay, so problem with reading maps, charts, symbols, and pictures. So here, these are the common learning disabilities in the childhood stage as well as the adolescent stage. Then other disorders means, as I already discussed in the previous meetings, autism is the disorder nowadays. Okay, then other syndromal issues like chromosomal issues. Okay, so then if we find if these sort of learning disabilities, how to resolve it. For example, if there is any problem with the communication issue, or you can say difficulty in reading, if we find any problem with his reading, writing, or any mathematical concepts, what to do? For example, if we find the problem of mathematical concept in the student of 8th class means around 13 or 14 years of age, what to do? For example, if he or she faces any problem of mathematics in this particular class of 8th or 9th classes. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are various reasons of any psychological problem, maybe learning disabilities, maybe any other psychological problem. As I mentioned, better to find out the reason, or you can say root cause of the particular issue. So if you take the example of this learning disability of mathematics, or you can say dyslexia or dysgraphia. For example, the problem is with the writing, reading, or mathematics. What to do? There is a reason of this particular issue. Better to find out that reason. For example, if the problem is handwriting of 8+ student or 9+ student, what to do? Actually, this type of handwriting, they are supposed to habituate, they are supposed to improve in the earlier classes, that means in the starting classes, in the primary level. Means maybe second or third class, or you can say cursive graphic writing will be there in the initial classes of primary level. So if these people are neglected in the particular area, those achievements, these academic achievements are not fulfilled in the particular area, particular class. Those learning objects, or you can say academic objects, are not fulfilled in this case of particular case. In so and so class, if we observe these objectives are not fulfilled, or these achievements are not fulfilled in the so and so class, better to take the remedial classes. See, in any problem related to the learning disabilities, one reason may be from the parental side, means you can say it's a home environment. Second is the environment related to the school, or you can say school environment or institutional environment. So if there is any problem from the school environment, means methodology of the school, methodology of the teaching methods, that means classroom environment, or the teacher student ratios. These are the various issues related to the school environment. As I mentioned, if the problem is of learning disabilities within this case of 8th class or 9th class students, as I mentioned, an example I'm giving here. That means if the problem is the writing, this writing skills they are supposed to achieve in so and so primary classes. So if these writing skills are not completed within the particular age of the class, better to give the remedial classes, remedial methods by spending some extra time. Okay, the subject teacher are supposed to give some extra time to resolve the issue. So first of all, better to consult a psychologist or a school counselor. The responsibility of the school counselor is that if there is any such cases, better to find out the reasons or the causes of the issue. So these school counselors are supposed to coordinate with other class teachers or subject teachers. Okay, so that school counselor or psychologist, he's supposed to advise the teachers to conduct some type of remedial classes, if that is the case. Or if the methodology is not, the teaching methodology is not suited to the particular class, and the number of students in the class is more, the teacher-student ratio is not maintained in the particular. If these issues, as a psychologist, we better to find out the reasons, causes of this particular issue. These are all the issues related to the school environment. Another example, for example, the mathematics problem is the problem learning disability related to the mathematics. Though he is in the 8th class or 9th, he or she is in 8th class or 9th class, he is the student of 8th or 9th class, but his mathematical operations not up to the mark. These mathematical operations, the simple operation of the mathematics, they are supposed to understand these mathematical operations of addition, subtractions, multiplications and divisions. These objectives are they are supposed to achieve these mathematical concepts in the basic classes, like primary level of 4th or 5th classes. If these educational objectives or academic aspects are not fulfilled in this particular age or in the particular class, if the psychologist, that is the response of the psychologist to find out the reason of this particular issue, maybe dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, what are the other learning disabilities maybe. Again, the same. So he or she, as a psychologist, supposed to find out the cause or reason of this disability, learning disability, and he or she is supposed to, yes, their responsibility is to coordinate with other school teachers. Then, if the school teacher or the psychologist find the problem with child is not attaining the proper, it's not achieving the proper skills, the mathematical operational for these objectives, better to conduct some extra classes or remedial classes. Okay, these are all the issues related to the school environment or the environment related to the institutions. Okay, then if there is any problem related to their family environment, means the family environment is not up to the mark to give proper education environment in the family. Maybe the parental child pay methods is not up to the mark. If you find any problem with the family environment, the home environment, better to ask the parents to create that type of environment. So that some study habits, they will focus on the study habits of the children. Okay, and any other issues related to the nutritional issues or any other food habits. These are all the various reasons we need to find, so that if there is any if there is a need of changing the environment of the family or the environment of the school or any other institution, that is the solution to address these learning disabilities. Okay, if with these type of disabilities, means learning disabilities, that is the way we have to find out the reasons, other than better to get the solutions of these learning disabilities related to the childhood as well as the adolescent. If there is any problem with the ADHD or autism or any other disorders related to this childhood, early childhood stage, so better to give the early interventional methods. Early interventional method means identification, the early identification, then early treatment. Okay, for example, any problem with the communication, means if the development delay, means development of the communication is delayed. Here we can't say it is the disorder or disability if these early intervention means below the level of 5 years and 6 years. If you find any delay in their development, like the motor delay or the speech delay, a delay of the fine motor or the gross motor, so better to give proper therapy to this issues of the early interventions. Okay, so early intervention means early identification of the problem, then early treatment, or you can say early providing of early therapeutic procedures. Okay, so that if we find any type of learning disabilities or any disabilities, any problem within the age of this 5 years or 6 years. It's so easy to mold it in early stages. If we find any problem within this children of early childhood stage, so better to give proper follow-up services like therapeutic, like speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy. Then if there is any problem related to the fine motor and gross motor, so physiotherapy. Okay, so that the problems may be early identification of the problem, then early cure is possible with this early interventional measures. Okay. So here, if there is any problem with the parental issues, so those issues are also better to address. Like these parents are not able to spend their time to the children. If we find this type of reasons of these learning disabilities or problems related to the communication disorders or any other child or adult center issues, so parental education also needed. Parental education means educating the parents. Maybe the parents may be literate or illiterate. Maybe they are some parents, they may not be intentionally doing these things, but they don't know this adverse impact of their behavior. Okay, so that if such cases, if you find, better to educate the parent education is also needed. For example, if the children is ADHD or autistic behavior or any other conduct disorders related to communication or any learning disabilities, so we need to educate the parents, their symptoms, their reasons, the reasons of the particular issue. So if you provide proper education to the parents, so that they'll modify their behavior. If you want to modify the behavior of the children, parent education also needed. For example, if there are any problems with the behavior of the children, like as I mentioned, conduct disorders, aggressive behavior, destructive behavior. Okay, so here BMT, behavior modification technique, or you can simply say it's a behavioral therapy. Behavioral therapy means identification of the problematic behaviors and modifying the behaviors to the normal behaviors, or you can say undesirable behaviors to desirable behaviors. If the psychologist or the help of the teachers or with the help of the parents, if we find any undesirable behaviors, modifying the undesirable behaviors to the desirable behaviors, or you can say problematic behaviors to the normal behavior, is the behavior modification technique, or you can say behavior modification program. Or simply can say it's a behavioral therapy. Behavioral therapy is the part of the psychologist or a counselor. Means identifying the problematic behaviors, prioritizing the behaviors, then giving the behavior modification techniques, so that they'll stop behaving in a different way, or you can say undesirable behaviors can be modified to the normal behavior. And they learn something from the parents. It's not the response, of course, it's responsible to the psychologist, but we need to involve the parents as well as the teachers in some cases, so that they learn something from the teachers, they learn something from the parents, or they learn something from the psychologist. The main learning aspect is that learning is modification of behavior. If the behavior is undesirable behavior, modifying that undesirable behavior to the desirable behavior or problematic behavior.
Hello. Hello.